Restores the value of my 401k tomorrow. That'd be all right.
Good evening. I call to order the Wayzata Public Schools Board of Education regular meeting for March 9th, 2020. Welcome, everyone. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Yes. Linda Cohen.
Here.
C.N. Falconer. Absent. Sarah Johansson.
Here.
Chris McCullough.
Here.
Cheryl Poseen.
Here.
Bonita Lucky. Here. Andrea King.
Here.
Chase Anderson.
Here.
Thank you, Ms. Lucky. First on our agenda, we have the approval of our agenda and approval of consent agenda items. Consent agenda items are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed as a consent agenda item and addressed. Consent agenda items are listed in the board packet. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I so move.
Second.
All right. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Yes. Linda Cohen.
Yes.
Sarah Johansson.
Yes.
Bonita Lucky. Yes. Cheryl Poseen.
Yes.
C.N. Falconer. Not here. Chris McCullough. Oh, C.N. Falconer. Chris McCullough.
Yes.
Andrea King.
Yes, the motion carries unanimously, and for the record, C.N. Falconer has just joined us. Welcome. All right. Next on our agenda, we have reports from organizations. Do we have Matt Lawrence? Oh, we do. Welcome. We have our Wayzata High School Senior Student Council President, Matt Lawrence, to give an update about what's happening at Wayzata High School.
All right, hello. My name is Matt, and I'm the vice president at.
Oh, Vice
Wayzata High
President,
School.
sorry. I just made you the president. Sorry.
It's all right. So I'll just be recapping some school events and highlighting some upcoming events as well. So just for some general school news, the third term is coming to a close, and spring break starts on the 26th. So activity news: the student council is getting ready for Survivor Week. Survivor is a fundraiser for Fun to Need at the high school. Students sleep over for a week and compete in challenges to see who will become Wayzata Survivor. It's similar to the TV show. And we just picked the 14 students who will compete in Survivor. The week of Survivor starts April 13th. There will be an Instagram and Snapchat account keeping up with all of the challenges. The students in Fusing Leadership Circle went on a retreat a few weeks ago. The three main points we talked about were how students can have a better voice in the school, what a student narrative would look like, and what teachers should know about Wayzata students. And we followed up this discussion with the school board at a meeting a couple weeks ago. We really appreciated you guys coming in to listen to us, and we also appreciate the feedback given. Members in the Fusing Leadership Circle are working on forming a retreat for the staff at the high school. We are planning on presenting our work March 26th to the teachers, and we are looking forward to this opportunity to improve Wayzata for the better. So now moving on to some fine arts news. The theater department wrapped up their show Gypsy last week. It was another successful Wayzata performance, and their next performance will be Macbeth. The high school hosted a band conference last Thursday for ensembles from a few different schools, as well as our own wind ensemble. A similar conference will be held again this Wednesday for other bands in the area, including our Wind Symphony. Yesterday, the Wind Symphony held a collage concert with the Plymouth Concert Band. It was a really fun event, and the next major concert is Magic Theater later this year. To finish off some sports news, so the winter sports are wrapping up and spring sports are just around the corner. The girls basketball team had an amazing season with their second place finish at the Section 6A tournament. They finished with a 24-5 record. Congratulations to Kale Swenson for getting first place in state for wrestling. Also, congratulations to Casey Stowe for his first place finish in the 100-yard backstroke for boys swim and dive. Wayzata also won the 200-yard medley relay. That is all I have for school news. Does the board have any questions for me?
Thank you, Matt. Well, there's a lot of exciting stuff happening at the high school. Do my colleagues have any comments or questions? All right, thanks a lot.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, next on our agenda, we have our favorite part of the meeting, and that is board recognition. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Anderson.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome. My name is Chase Anderson. I'm the superintendent for the school district, and it's always my privilege and honor to convene the recognition portion of our school board meetings. And the first thing that we typically start with is to announce those who have indicated their intent to retire at the conclusion of the school year. And we have 6 of those individuals tonight, so I'd like to read their names. If you happen to be here, although as I glance out, I'm not sure I'm spotting any of them. But I'll read their names, and you can join me in a round of applause after all the names have been read. First, Phyllis Bopp, paraprofessional at Northwoods, 24 years. Barb Davidson, paraprofessional, Greenwood, 13 years. Patricia Efta, paraprofessional, East Middle School, 21 years. Terry Meister, Culinary Express, Sunset Hill, 13 years. Karen Neal, Culinary Express, Central Middle School, 23 years. And Laura Fulvin, teacher at Oakwood, 8 years. If you could please give those folks a round of applause. I would like to extend my personal thank you to them for all of the work that they've done in our school district, and their legacies will live on, and we appreciate all of their many contributions in the district. Next, we're going to be recognizing our Quiz Bowl students. If you're here tonight to be recognized for Quiz Bowl, I'm going to ask that you please come up and join us over here. I see one making their way here. Welcome. Good to see you. Thank you for representing the team. I'll share the following, and then if you want, you can make a few comments. You want to do that? I gave you a little advance warning at least. Congratulations to the Wayzata High School Quiz Bowl Team A, which placed first at the Minnesota High School Quiz Bowl League competition in February. The team is made up of the following students: Arul Belhi, Brian Lynn, Benjamin Weiner, Brianna Shao, and Cynthia Shao. And the team will compete and currently scheduled to be at the 2020 High School National Championship Tournament in May in Atlanta, Georgia. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Ben.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ben, and then my other teammates couldn't be here this evening, but it was a very great experience and an opportunity to represent the school well. And then even more exciting was this past Saturday was the state tournament. So one of the 2 state championships is the league, which Dr. Anderson recognized us for winning, but then also the state championship. And we won both this year, so we have won the outright state title this year, which is the 6th consecutive year that the Wayzata Quiz Bowl team has had at least a share of the Minnesota state title.
And our next recognition this evening is for our Science Bowl team. And I'd like to invite Amanda Layden forward. I think I spotted, there's Amanda. I thought I spotted you there. And I'll read the following, and then I'll turn it over to her to introduce our students who are in attendance this evening. Congratulations to the Wayzata High School Science Bowl team, which took first place at the Minnesota Academy of Sciences Minnesota Regional Science Bowl for high school students at McAllister College in January. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Amanda to speak a little bit more about their accomplishments and introduce any of the students that are here. Thank you, Amanda.
Come up. Oh, I'd love to have you guys stand up here with me if you don't mind.
It's got some buddies now.
It's my pleasure to introduce you to the Science Bowl team, although I have to tell you that not everyone is here. 2 of our individuals are at a math tournament right now, a math team tournament. So, and also my co-coach, who is Jill Holtz, was unable to be here this evening as well. It was very helpful to have her in some of our success. We've grown as a club, so it's been helpful to have some assistance. But these students, Ayush Gupta, he is a senior, and he was on the team that won nationals last year, as well as Ben Weiner, who is also a senior, was on the nationals team. And we have a sophomore, Emily Liu. And the two students who are unable to be here tonight are Kevin Yang, who is a sophomore, and George Kai, who is a senior. So they did a fantastic job. They were undefeated at the Science Bowl regional competition and really represented Wayzata well, showed a lot of collaboration and teamwork throughout the entire thing. So I'm very proud of them.
Next, I'd like to invite one of our 8th grade students forward, Nara Chung. Apparently unable to be with us tonight, but I'll read the following in her honor and recognition, and maybe we can get her to come upon a second invite if she's available. Congratulations to Nara Jung, an 8th grade student at East Middle School, who was recently named the Minnesota Writer in the Invest Right writing competition for students participating in the stock market game. The SMG, a national program created by the Securities Industry and Financial Markets Association, is coordinated by Minnesota by Best Prep, a local nonprofit. Nara's essay is about an investment strategy to double a $500,000 investment to $1 million and donate it to Feed My Starving Children, which is a dream of his. Nara uses some sound investment strategies in his essay, including diversification and the Rule of 72. He also includes some renewable energy investment options, said Kathy Simpson, gifted and talented coordinator at EMS. Perhaps the reason he's not here tonight is he's offering some insight to national stock market concerns, maybe. But at any rate, congratulations to him, and we encourage him to keep up the great work. Thank you. A round of applause for him, please. Next, I would like to invite our Employee of the Month forward, Thane Antchuk. Congratulations. Good etiquette there.
Andrew.
So I'd like to share the following submitted on behalf of Thane. It is with pride that the Wayzata West Middle School nominates, sorry, there's a typo on here. I'll start fresh. It is with pride that Wayzata West Middle School nominates Thane Antchuk to be recognized as the March Employee of the Month. Thane has been an 8th grade health teacher at West Middle School for the last 3 years. He is positively involved in many ways at West Middle School, in addition to teaching, including his role as a wrestling coach and supervisor of our after-school fit club, and is constantly helping with various school events and team activities. Thane was selected by his colleagues for this recognition, and the following are a few of the many positive things they had to say about him. Thane makes it a great priority to connect with each and every student in his class. Each day, he is in the hallway greeting students on their way into class with their name and a fist bump. He sets an incredible example for students by prioritizing a balance of activities in his own life. He works hard to create and update his lessons with engaging and relevant content. The students see that he cares and are positively impacted by him every day. Thane goes the extra mile to make sure students feel welcome in his class and are able to participate in a safe learning environment. Thane has transformed the health curriculum so that students are learning relevant skills that can be used once they leave West Middle School. He also noticed that not every student had an after-school activity they belonged to and started a fit club for students to work out and play active games. As a wrestling coach, Thane makes a difference by connecting with his athletes. He inspires them to be the best they can be on and off the mat by living the values that he teaches. Thane is one of the best young teachers I have worked with in my years at Wayzata. He is a professional that is always trying to improve. He has made a positive impact on our school with how he supports students in and out of the classroom. Congratulations, Thane, and thank you for all you do for the students, families, and staff at Wayzata West Middle School. Congrats.
Do we have time for my entire speech here? Just kidding, it's only one page. I just wrote like 2 paragraphs about my experience at West. My experience at West has been a great one. From the very beginning, I felt supported by my coworkers and administration. One of my first observed lessons at West didn't go as planned. Class was chaotic, students weren't listening, and I knew as it was happening that it was a failure, that I was a failure in that moment. During our post-observation meeting, Mr. Lutz and I had an honest conversation. He told me that he planned to come back to observe again because he believed that the lesson wasn't reflective of my teaching potential. He believed in me, and that helped me grow as a teacher and as a person. Mr. Bolam, you're pretty cool too. My experience with the students has been a fulfilling one. I love teaching because it gives me purpose. I know that I have purpose when students tell me the story about when they talk about their struggles with alcohol or substance abuse. I know I have a purpose when my students tell me the story about a sibling overdosing on prescription medications. I know I have a purpose when students open up about their hopes, fears, and struggles in a way that shows trust and connection. I know that I have purpose when students read a letter of gratitude to someone who has made a big impact on their life, all of the emotions of joy, love, and thankfulness on their faces. So thank you for supporting our students and our teachers to grow, to find their place in the world, and to shine brightly.
I know.
All right, next on our agenda, we have the audience opportunity to address the school board. This section of the agenda provides an opportunity for members of the audience to address the school board. Speakers will be allotted approximately 3 minutes. Please note that this time is provided for citizens to address the board, but is not the appropriate venue for a discussion or a debate. If any speaker would like follow-up contact from the Board of Education, they may leave their contact information with our administrative assistant, Ashley Winter. Thanks, Ashley. The school board welcomes your feedback. First, we have Joel Spoonheim, who will be speaking to us about Sunset Hill. Joel, if you wouldn't mind saying your name and your address before you get started? Thank you, and welcome.
Good evening, members of the board. Joel Spoonheim, 11710 28th Avenue North, and father of 2 kids at Sunset Hill in 3rd and 4th grade. So as you all know, you approved recently a site plan improvement for the school, which includes putting in a new bus isolation drop-off zone from where parents and teachers park and drop off kids, which is a much needed improvement. In response to that, however, as a former city planner with over 10 years in the field, I did look at the site plan and noted that there were some critical issues that weren't being addressed, and wrote you all a letter, had some correspondence with Jim Westrom and others about it. And I just want to come back to a concern, which is a school like Sunset Hill, the school that faces the greatest social disparities of any school in the district, has a once every 20-year external capital improvement, usually, especially with new schools being built. And parents have been clamoring for the ability to have input into the improvements of the school. Our children cannot play in the playground because it floods. Our children play on a grass field that is at best wood mulch compacted into weeds for a vast part of it, with a drain tile that is broken and leaking into mud and creating a trip hazard. Our infrastructure at the school on the outside is dilapidated. The only shade was chopped down 3 years ago for good reason. The roots of the trees were tearing apart the foundation of the school. But we simply have asked to have the opportunity to improve the learning and safety environment for our kids. And our concern this evening, and a number of parents from Sunset Hill are here, is that our kids are not getting the safe physical environment they deserve that you see at so many of the other great schools in this district. And our request is that we get to participate in a proactive, not reactive, combative relationship with the district about the school. Similarly, for over 3 years, many of the parents here have been cultivated to volunteer and have donated hundreds of hours to the Nature Center. Sunset Hill has the greatest nature facility that is part of environmental learning in the district. And yet, but for the parent involvement, it has been a difficult effort to maintain it. We have brought in Cub Scouts to do buckthorn busts. We've had parents like myself donate many, many dozens of hours at the individual level working to do site improvements. We've spread mulch. We've donated money. We have simply asked for a clear management plan for this resource because teachers have asked to be able to use it more proactively, and yet the infrastructure is becoming outdated. We even so far had one of our parents secure a grant from Home Depot Foundation to pay for facilities that parents were willing to construct at no cost that had been engineered by a designer and yet was declined by the district for not meeting specific requirements that we could never get. We asked for design specifications, material specifications, and never got it. So while we raised money and time and had credentialed contractors in our volunteer force willing to build the improvements, it has all been declined. Our concern is that the district is not engaging in a constructive relationship with the parents and teachers who are looking to improve the school, and that we are willing to do the work physically, we're willing to raise the money to do so, and our PTSA has support, and yet we can't get into a fair process. So it is our hope that part of the challenge we recognize is our principal openly has higher priorities. Most principals aren't expected to manage a nature center. He has openly said to many of us he doesn't have energy to deal with it, which we can understand. So we are looking for a clear, constructive process by which to look at the capital improvements needed for the school, because we're willing to meet you guys and participate, but we're not finding clear, open processes to do so. So we are just simply asking, and I did meet with Mr. Western beforehand, and he has agreed that we will try to find a way forward and to end the miscommunication that seems to be persistent and pervasive between the many parties. But we do ask that you all work with the superintendent and others to set up better processes. With that, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spoonheim. All right, next we have Rochelle Dotson-Rod, who will speak to us about healthy foods and healthy habits. Welcome, Rochelle.
Rochelle Dotson-Rod. My address is 425 Pineview Lane North in Plymouth, Minnesota. I want to start off by thanking those of you who were able to take time out of your schedules to meet with a number of parents and our children at the different elementary schools and have lunch. We appreciate it. We know that it is somewhat of inconvenience to come in the middle of the day to have lunch with them, and I just want to express our words of gratitude, not only on behalf of myself, but I would say the entire Facebook group was incredibly appreciative of your guys' time. I'm here today, though, to kind of summarize how the lunches went and to ask for your support for a longer lunch period. I also want to thank some parents from our Facebook group that showed up tonight here to support the cause. A couple of us randomly emailed about 30 members. I don't know who they are out here because I've not met many of them, but I know we have a lot of them out here today. So to summarize the lunch experiences, 3 of you, Chase, Linda, and Bonita, were not able to finish your lunch entree in the time allotted, and you were able to stay past the time of lunch to finish your food. Our children didn't have that option. You saw children stuffing their pockets full of food that they could not eat or could not finish, but they still wanted to be able to eat. You saw food waste by throwing away vegetables and fruit as well as other food items. None of you washed your hands before you ate. One school offered hand sanitizer the day you were there, but since that time, and with the exception of the last 2 weeks with the coronavirus, a mother from that school has been to lunch 5 times since the board member visited, and hand sanitizer was not offered once. I would like to formally request a response from the board as to who exactly could make a decision to implement longer lunch times. I have heard from our principal that it's a board and district decision, as you are responsible for the teacher contracts. Over a year ago, I heard from the board that it's up to the on-site principal. I know we've talked about this in the past, but it appears as though there's a lack of accountability from the district level, and we are experiencing it time and time again. Another example of this is hand washing. I applaud the district in encouraging hand washing now with the coronavirus that's going around over the last 2 weeks. However, it seems as it's only been done as a response to the coronavirus, and it comes at the expense of switching the recess and lunch orders that we established at the beginning of the year. We appreciate the quick decision-making that it takes, and we understand that we need to get through this time period. But for the arrival of a virus that's spreading at unprecedented rates, it's hard to understand why the district took so long to enforce their own wellness policy when we've all been dealing with influenza for the last 4 months. And it also is interesting that it took me emailing a member of the board and the superintendent after the coronavirus email came out before the hand washing was implemented. The CDC recommends 20 minutes of seated time. The handout that I gave you summarizes the CDC's recommendations. I believe you guys know this, but there are other school districts that are forming groups like ours. Orono has established a group, they've copied our name. Eden Prairie established a group, they recently changed their name to match ours. We are working with parents in other districts, as well as other parents across Wayzata, to help the parents understand some best practices. As we understand it, Eden Prairie, in a very short amount of time, were able to change their lunch period to 20 minutes of seated time. This came as a result of board support for the change. There's a saying that goes, you make time for things that matter to you and excuses for things that don't. I ask you, does it matter to you that kids are hungry at school when all it takes is 5 extra minutes? Or do you make excuses, or do you listen to other people's excuses and allow that to get in the way of your action? I want to thank you for your time, and I also want to thank all the parents that came out today to support us. I haven't met almost all of you, so if you have a moment at the end of this, we're just going to walk out, and I'd love to introduce myself to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rochelle. Next, we have Makun Kulkarni, who is here to talk to us about home base. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, this is Mukund Kulkarni, and I don't know, this is the first time I'm addressing the board. So I have a little story about moving into Wayzata School District. We were in a Mount Sweet School District before. I have 2 kids. We moved to Karkaran just because, we heard about the Wayzata School District. Now, extremely, like every step where my kids go to school, we have challenges. First, initially we thought our kids go to a Meadow Ridge school, which we heard good about that school. However, they put our kid into Oakwood. That's okay. We compromised because my kids got a lot of changes from Mounts View to back to the Wayzata School District and everything. Then the very next year we moved to Northwood School, so which is again a change for my kid to adapt to new changes. It was a little bit of challenging, but somehow we came over all of those. But the next problem we had is a home-based thing, which we couldn't get into that one. The first year we got into that, it was like, it opens at 7 a.m. At a specific time. Within 10 minutes, it fills up. I do register it, if you see my registration, it is like 7:04. I registered at 7:04, which even still I went into a wait list this year. Last year I got into that one, but however we had to travel out of country so I had to withdraw my contract with the home base, and for this year they considered me as a open registration, not for the priority registration. So it is, and also the transportation which goes from the Northwood School, it's very covered, only limited areas. So only one daycare I have is a Goddard, which is very expensive. We don't get the spot in that. So my request to the board is if you can increase the capacity for the home base or arrange something else after school. That's what the concern is. It's not only my concern. There are a couple of bunch of parents in our neighborhood. They requested me to talk about them as well. They moved in. There are a bunch of my friends even moving to that neighborhood too. They are really concerned about what will I do for the after school. And getting a nanny is difficult too. That's a different story. But however, I would request the board to address this concern about home base after school. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. All right. Next on our agenda, we have our student curriculum presentation, and tonight we get to hear from Meadow Ridge Elementary. So, Dr. Johnson, would you like to make the introduction? Okay, great.
Was making my to-do list. Madam Chair and members of the board, good evening. I'm anticipating a PowerPoint shortly. As you know, I think I'll go ahead and get started. And as you know, the purpose of the site presentations is to provide you, the board members, an opportunity to get a more in-depth presentation about activities that are happening at the site level. Specifically, thank you. Specifically, activities that relate to the strategic roadmap that you have developed. And we have created the effective practice map, which speaks specifically to what practices are we engaged at the site level that will lead to the outcome on the roadmap. So this evening's presentation is from Meadow Ridge, and they will be focused on really that student learning experience and what they are doing to help all students be successful at school. So with that, I would like to introduce the principal, Karen Keffler.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Anderson, thanks for having us here tonight. We're pretty excited to talk about a program that we have at Meadow Ridge. As you know, we are 4 years old. We're not the new building anymore. We continue to grow. We've just, I think, passed the 780 student number for this year, and we're getting a few more over spring break, and it's a great place to be. I have with me tonight Sam Blank, who is in his second year of student support specialist. Prior to that, he was a third grade teacher. And Larissa Eitenayer-Scholze, she is new to us this year, and she is a third grade teacher from Indiana, right? Minnesota. Eden Prairie girl? Back, yes. And they are both working on their administrative licensure. So when we were talking about, things that matter and what to do, they both really just jumped into the Cardinal Club, which is our after-school targeted services program. In looking at our school improvement program this year, our goals around math and reading to increase from 82 to 84% proficiency in reading and from 84 to 86% in math. We also are addressing our achievement gap that continues to be an issue. And when we are looking at those pieces, We wanted to make sure that every student was getting extra. It's not in place of, it's in addition to when students need to improve their skills. We have interventionists at Meadow Ridge. Not every student who qualifies for intervention is able to receive it because of the staffing. So we decided to create Cardinal Club last year. When I was here 2 years ago, I talked about Homework Club, which was at Vicksburg Commons, and it was a combination with IOCP. It was a great opportunity. And in our conversations, we have more students in our building who need that extra support. And so with targeted services funding and the addition of transportation through that funding, we are able to have a targeted services program 2 days a week after school. Data from last year. Is this me or? Yes,
I think it was me, but you can go ahead.
No, I want you to speak about it.
So, like Karen touched on with our Cardinal Club, and it's only our second year in existence, but we really want to focus on making data-driven decisions, especially if we are going to try to, work on the achievement gap. It's really important to us that we are looking at what the data says, and facing some of those hard facts. Last year, we had 54 students in our program. A lot of those kids don't get that opportunity to have interventions throughout the day, so it's really important that we have a good number like that. 31 of our students in 4th and 5th grade, I tried to focus on these numbers when we were looking at them because then we had a prior year MCA data point to go off of. Of those 31 students in 4th and 5th grade, 67, so 2/3 of them, 67% of them actually showed growth. And of that, half of those students grew by 10 or more points because we're looking at trying to accelerate their growth, not having that typical growth from year to year. And of the 31, 55% of them were able to go from either do not meets or partially meeting to proficient, where they were only at 22% proficient the previous year. So one of the things that we were looking at to improve from last year to this year was with those Cardinal Club groups. We split them into our primary, so kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade. We have a 3rd and 4th grade group, and then we have a 5th grade group. And we realized last year that we needed to have more teachers. We had one teacher running each group last year. This year we've increased that so that we have 2 licensed teachers teaching each one of those groups. And with our youngest students, we thought it was really important that we would have paraprofessionals that could help with them, especially accommodating some of our special education students. And then we also have 2 community volunteers. We really take any volunteer, anybody that's willing to come, any warm body, we'll take them. But our kindergarten, 1st grade, and 2nd grade group is our largest group because we really feel if we can get to those kids early and get them right on that literacy track before 3rd grade, that's really going to help them set themselves up for success there. The rest of their education. And our 3rd and 4th grade group, they're run by 2 licensed teachers as well. One is a 3rd grade teacher, one is a 4th grade teacher, so they know that curriculum. They can teach the same skills that are being taught throughout the year and trying to align them so we're spiraling through those skills throughout the year as well. And then again, for 5th grade, we have one teacher that's paid, but then we've also had one teacher that's currently on our 5th grade group that's volunteered his time and has showed up 95% of the time, so we've had Cardinal Club. So.
All right, so what does Cardinal Club look like on a daily basis? You can see that from 2:20 to 2:30 immediately after school gets over, we meet for attendance and snack. It's actually split, so our K2 group gets to go to the gym or outside right away to get some of that energy out from the end of the day, and then they come back in and do a snack time, and then our older kids have that time at the end of the block. Each of the groups has a chance for a group meeting, similar to what we would do with our morning meetings during the regular day, and then some social emotional time. So they're working on some different skills, emotional regulation, things that can help them not only in Cardinal Club, but throughout the school day, as well as just in their daily lives. And then from there, we break out into some different academic rotations. So each station is about 15 minutes long, and during this time, the teachers that are with the core groups in the classrooms are doing reading and math rotations. Every single kid gets an additional rotation of independent reading time, but then this is also the time where we've started to pull some really focused intervention groups. So we went back and looked at a lot of the FastBridge data and tried to identify those kids kids who were either in needs of enrichment or remediation, and we put together some really specific and focused targeted groups, either one-on-one groups or small groups, to work on some of those individual needs for each of the students. And so during that time, depending on which station they're at, they may get pulled for that 15 minutes to do something targeted for their specific needs. And then, like I said, at the end of the day, our K2 group is wrapping up their rotations, and then our 3, 4, and 5 groups get that gym outdoor time for some social and just some fun community building activities. And then the buses show up. So what are we using? We're using a lot of teacher-created materials. We're using strategies that we are teaching with the curriculum that the district has given us, but just trying to add to. And so we're also incorporating some STEAM activities, especially for those kiddos who need some enrichment. We have a robotics program that they're using, and we've also started Lego engineering with some of the kids. And so that's been a really great motivator for not only those students, but also the other students. They really want to participate in those activities, and so they've been working really, really hard at their instructional level to be able to also earn time to do those other activities as well. And then we're just using the Fontes and Pinnell reading intervention kits, Math for Love. One of our teachers got trained in that, and so she's incorporating that. And then the Mind Up social emotional learning curriculum to help guide some of our small group instruction. Here's just some pictures of what Cardinal Club looks like. You'll see in the top left corner, we have some of the boys working on their Lego engineering, a teacher pulling a small group working on some math skills. That bottom picture is a second grade group working on a research project on animals right now. So they're actually practicing their reading and writing skills both within that project-based learning activity. And some of our fifth graders getting their independent reading time, another K2 small group, and then some other just extra small group math time. So it's kind of a quick picture of what it looks like.
And then asking the students what they like best about Cardinal Club, of course, snack always comes up. Have a snack. And we are very grateful for the cooperation of IOCP. They have provided numerous snacks for our program, and it's just wonderful that we have that cooperation. And also Illumide, who works, partners in Vicksburg Commons. He is there quite often, checking in with the students and supporting what we need. I think the students, they say it's fun. I interpret that as I get some individual attention, I do get some outside playtime, and I do get to try some new things. We try to make that learning fun and different. It's not always just, they need more than that rote. They need problem solving, they need creativity, they need to use their imagination. And I think they really, really enjoyed it. We've had to cancel it a few times, once because of the weather, once because we had some sick teachers and we weren't able, and the disappointment is, you can hear it in the hallway. Oh, we don't have Cardinal Club. So we're really glad we are able to provide this targeted services program for them. Any questions?
Yeah, great, thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Linda.
Well, first of all, it sounds like a fantastic program. A couple things. Do some of these students have intervention during the school day also? I wondered. And then I wondered, it sounds as though IOCP still has their homework club for some of these students, or no? No, they don't.
I can address that. Yeah, so many of the students that are in intervention were at least offered to come to Cardinal Club, so some of those students do have interventions during the day. They no longer do homework club for the elementary level at Vicksburg Commons, but they do it for the middle school level. And Illumide has helped out there, but he's been willing to come to Meadow Ridge and help us. He's been mainly focusing on that fifth grade group because he has the best relationships with those kids, but that's where we're at with that. Yeah.
Thanks. Sarah?
Yes, this is fantastic. Thank you so much. It's so exciting. Just one question. This sounds like a great opportunity, and I know you said Interfaith provided some of the snacks or whatever, but do you see your model of what you're doing as a model that maybe some of our other principals or other programs could also learn from? Is there anything that you're doing that's unique to Meadow Ridge, or is it scalable?
Definitely scalable. I think Oakwood does a lot of the same thing. Birchview, I think they have Bobcat. can't think of what it's called. I think just Gleason Lake, either they still do or they used to do it. So it's definitely something that is taking up across the district, especially since we were able to provide transportation. That was huge, and it was a deal maker, and we are so grateful for that.
Yes. Okay, that's great. So I think the board has had the opportunity to watch the district go from providing no targeted services and not making any use of those funds. So I want to thank Jim Westrom and Jill Johnson, because I know how much work it was initially to figure everything out and put the whole program into place. And it's been so much fun to watch the schools really take it and run, and to hear that you're incorporating social emotional learning and project-based learning and partnering with Interfaith. It's just really exciting to see what we've accomplished in such a short time. So thank you so much for this work.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here. All right. Next on our agenda, we have our administrative reports and recommendations. Nothing under superintendent, but under teaching and learning, we have 3 policies up for approval today. Would you like to talk to us about those, Dr. Johnson?
Madam Chair, members of the board, and Superintendent Anderson, as part of your board packet this evening are the policies and regulations for your review. The policies and regulations were prepared by the Teaching and Learning Department and reviewed by the Policy Committee of the school board. The recommended changes are identified by using an underline or strike-through notation. I'd like to add that policies are also aligned to the Minnesota School Board Association model policy, and also users of the policy, like building principals, also review, or other district staff review when appropriate. So the 3 policies before you this evening are 516, admission of non-resident students, open enrollment options; 517, student chemical dependency and chemical health programs; 518, assignment of resident students to schools. The recommended action is listed below.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. The recommended action is to approve the listed policies as presented and described by Dr. Johnson. Is there a motion to approve?
Madam Chair, I move that we waive the first reading of the policies and approve all 3, so policy 516, policy 517, and policy 518 for second and final reading.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair, I'll just add a little, in addition to what Dr. Johnson said, just a thank you to Dr. Johnson and to Mr. Westrom and Ms. Foss and everyone that sits on the policy committee. Once again, just a reminder that all policies, before they come to the board, are reviewed within the policy committee, and we look at for the congruency and how it's being applied. So thanks to everyone for taking the time to do that.
Thank you, Ms. Policy Chair. We appreciate it. All those in favor of approving Policy 516, Policy 517, and Policy 518, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right. Next on our agenda, we have Finance and Business Services. I will turn it over to Mr. Westrom.
Yes, good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. I'd like to thank you for being here this evening. And enclosed, we have one item, the monthly financial reports. Enclosed for your review and information are the following financial reports as of January 2020. We have an investment summary listing the investments held by the district, an analysis of the financial reports, a statement of revenues, and a statement of expenditures. And you will recall that in January, we had the board approve a mid-year budget adjustment whereby we adjusted the budgets to reflect actual federal entitlements and actual enrollment as of October 1st. And so these statements actually better reflect the current year-to-date expenditures compared to previous years. Nothing unusual was noted, and I do want to thank the Citizens Finance Advisory Council for advising the school district in financial matters, and also the Finance Committee of the board, who I meet with on a monthly basis, and we do a little deeper dive into some of the financial implications. So with that, we're anxiously awaiting the legislature to complete their work, which we anticipate to occur sometime in May, and we're currently in the process of creating budgets for the 2020-2021 school year. So with that, I'd be happy to respond to any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Mr. Westrom. Are there any questions? All right, and there's no board action required, it's just informational today, correct?
Correct, yes.
All right, then we'll move on. We don't have anything under HR this evening, so next we'll move on to our board reports. And I think tonight we have a report from our Vice Chair, Linda Cohen.
Thanks, Andrea. Well, I'm going to follow up on what Andrea said last time. In addition to our regular board work, meetings like this, monthly meetings, and then our work sessions, which are monthly, we also do some other things also to make sure that the board's functioning well. So about 12 days ago, MSBA, the Minnesota School Board Association, had a workshop for officers, and all 4 of the officers of this board attended. Andrea as the chair, Bonita as clerk, Sarah as treasurer, and I as vice chair. And it was, the morning mostly was spent on the open meeting law. And I say, after listening to all the information about the open meeting law, to assure that the board has transparency, I'd say our board stacks up pretty well. I think we're really in compliance for almost everything or everything. Then the afternoon for the chairs and vice chairs was spent a lot on Robert's Rules of Order. And again, I think our district is, our agendas are following Robert's Rules of Order pretty carefully. One interesting thing that I noticed was that they did say that usually we have a motion and discussion and then a vote, but that it's equally as appropriate to have discussion, a motion, and a vote. I was surprised. But anyway, that's something I learned, took away from it. One of the things that our school board is very lucky in that we have a direct conduit to MSBA, because Cheryl Posine, a member of our board, sits on the Minnesota School Board Association representing Section 4. So we're very lucky in that respect. The one other thing I'd mention is just the committees that I'm on, because as Andrea said last time, so much of the board work is done in committee. And I chair the Teaching and Learning Committee, which includes curriculum and instruction, and we had a robust discussion last meeting on summer school. And then I'm also on the Finance Committee, Human Resources, and Policy, and some people don't think policies are fun, but I do. So. And I don't know if any others officers who attended the conference have anything to add, but that's the end.
Thank you, Linda. All right, before we finish up tonight, we have one more board report. Dr. Anderson has agreed to make a few comments about our district's preparedness for the COVID-19 virus. Would you be willing to make a few comments?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. I just wanted to give you a couple of quick updates of some happenings in the district in regard to the coronavirus, or COVID-19, I think is its nickname or its scientific name, I'm not sure which. But we have been spending quite a lot of time and focus on this topic and concept, up to and including a relatively large group that's being convened by Dr. Johnson in the district. We've been meeting on Monday afternoons from 1 to 3. I think we had our second or third meeting today, and we have them scheduled, I think, indefinitely on Mondays from 1 to 3 into the future for as long as we feel we may need to bring our group together. But at those meetings, we talk a lot about what the latest is. The meeting or the group includes Dawn from our Health Services Department, Dawn Wilson, and she's in very close contact with the Minnesota Department of Health and tracking the website of the I'm missing the acronym for the national
CDC.
CDC, thank you. And we're tracking the information that they have available on their website. I understand they're coming out either tonight or tomorrow with some new recommendations based on the latest, so we'll be reviewing that. But we're really taking a look at our operations, we're taking a look at our communications, and we sent out another communication to parents today. And we've also been working extensively on the what-ifs that we may be out of school for an extended time. How do we do our best to maintain some degree of continuity with our instruction during the time that hopefully this can work its way through and we can get back to a more normal routine. As I oftentimes encourage our team to do, we're trying to approach this from a perspective of not overreacting or under-responding and trying to find that sweet spot of solid preparedness and trying to learn as much as we can, allowing each of our staff in key areas to understand their functions, to learn as much as they can about how their role in the district and supervising the staff that they work with to ensure that we do everything we can to keep our students safe and be responsive to the guidance from MDH and CDC. So those are some of the updates, I guess, that come to mind. I'm looking at a number of people that are on this group with me. They may have some other things. Amy and Jill, Jim and Stacy are all part of that group as well. And perhaps they have some additional insight to share or offer. So I would maybe just give them the opportunity, or if anything comes to mind, or not.
All right, thank you so much for that information, Dr. Anderson.
You're welcome.
Are there any other board reports this evening? All right, that concludes our regular school board meeting for March 9th, 2020. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. We are adjourned.